Hello, hello, most beautiful stars. Hello, hello. So happy to be with you. Happy Michaelmas. Yes, it is September 29th, and it is Michaelmas, All Angels Day. How exciting is that? And today we're going to cover a lot, people, as to what this season is all about. There was a intro video to this last Friday. Normally, I am not live on Sunday morning at 11 a.m. I'm normally live on Friday mornings at 11 a.m. But because of all the storms happening in the southern part of the United States on Friday, I decided to move it to today. I am Courtney, host of Stars of the Morning Light. Good to see everybody. I hope everybody is well and safe and protected and feeling the love and light this morning. And I see that Lori came in. Good to see you, my dear. I will try to say hello to those who come into the chat. I am live, of course, and we are a beautiful community here at Stars of the Morning Light. So, today might be a little bit different for folks, especially if you have never heard of Michaelmas or Rudolf Steiner. I am going to break things down to the best of my ability because I have actually consciously and subconsciously been using this time of the year, the autumn, um, in an appropriate way for a very long time. And many people might not understand that this is your time to experience the blessings of a dark night of the soul, as Carl Jung might say. So we're going to get into it, folks, and that's how Michael is kind of represented today. I love it in a great, great, positive way. So, good day, good evening, whenever you catch this. I hope you are well. We are going to be experiencing excerpts from this material, Michaelmas, from different lectures and or writings from Rudolf Steiner. Rudolf Steiner, also around the turn of the century, as we talk about Edgar Cayce on Wednesdays during the spiritualist movement. Rudolf Steiner was more, he brought in, to roughly give a little bit of information about him. There are some people that go very deep with Steiner, as do they all people that go deep with like Manly P. Hall or Edgar Cayce or a lot of the greats from that time period when the cult was coming back in full effect. Steiner really tried to incorporate science and spirituality. In today's world, we talk so much about this matrix concept. Steiner, in a lot of ways, would have touched on that in his own way, but also including very much the planet and the nature that surrounds us and how we are of nature. But as we're going to learn today, we are also limitless. So bear with me. Happy festival. Happy festival on September 29th, Michaelmas, that no one celebrates anymore, that no one does. Um, I was looking into a lot of the old traditions, festivals, what they would eat, some interesting stories about like St. Patrick got involved at some point because gosh, the stories were very involved, especially out of like Celtic areas. And of course, one of the Irish traditions is if the weather is sunny and good on Michaelmas, well, then it's going to be a very, very long winter. And I always found it funny because the Irish tend to have that. If it doesn't rain on your wedding day, then it's bad luck. If the weather is bright and sunny on any festival, then it's bad luck. It means you're going to have a very long winter today. Well, it was Ireland. So I kind of understand that. So as most people know, it's usually a little bit rainy there all the time. So I guess they just have good luck all the time. I remember when I heard that when we were getting married, we had a big Irish wedding here in the States because Irish American. And everybody said that at the wedding. Oh, if it rains on your wedding, it's going to be good luck. If it's, it'll be good luck. And it did rain on my wedding. It did, because our wedding was right by also St. Patty's Day here in the States, which is recognized. Um, and so I always found that funny of, well, in Ireland, it rains anyways. So they, you make traditions work for you. I will say outside of my house, it is very cloudy and more rain might come due to the storms. So maybe this is good luck for everybody. I love all the traditions. We got to use these traditions to work in our favor, right? We always should. And I see that seeker of truth just came in the chat. Good to see you. So that was about as much of my babble as I was going to do to see who all would be coming in. Um, so let us begin. Last time, last Friday, when we were discussing this, it was a matter of nature consciousness. How many of you pay attention to the nature consciousness that runs through us regardless, right? Well, today I'm going to mix it up some. For many of the people here that have been with Stars of the Morning Light for quite some time, thank you. And if you are new here, consider subscribing. Hit the like button for me, please. I appreciate it. Um, for many of those who have been here for a long time, I did a whole series on hermetics. But within that series of hermetics, I would say repeatedly, I don't really follow hermetics. The reason why I could explain it and I could discuss it and I know it to be true in a sense is because I know that the majority of people need to learn hermetics, need to understand hermetics, need to absorb hermetics in order to free themselves from the confines of hermetics. I would say it all the time. This was maybe a year or two ago. That is my true thoughts because we are ultimate. We are bigger than we think we are. We have the entire cosmos within us, right? You beautiful, shiny stars. But here on this planet of 3D density, it is in operation, this system, very much in hermetics. So, kind of, to bust out of anything, to free ourselves from anything, we need to understand how the system works, how we are trapped by things, how everything operates in order to devise a plan of escape, right? So, do I think people should study hermetics? Yes. Do I think we should confine ourselves to that is the ultimate and there's no other way? No, not at all. Same with today's message. So, with nature consciousness, do I believe we need to recognize the fact that we're a part of nature? Yes. Do I think we need to use nature and what we view, understand, and experience through the nature consciousness for our betterment? Yes, I do. But I do also believe that there's a lot of aspects to nature that live within us that we need to overcome to become that ultimate being of light for others. And the whole lot of today is going to represent that conversation. So, do we disregard nature? Not at all. Do we learn and study and grow from our conceptions and understanding of nature? Definitely. And that is today's message during this beautiful Michaelmas gathering that we're having here online. So happy Michaelmas to everybody. And it will all make sense in the end. I'll tie it all together with a nice, pretty little bow, as I always do. So I'm not opposed to nature consciousness. I just know that we have many many different aspects to our spiritual consciousness that are not just nature bound, same as hermetics. We're not bound to hermetics. And I see that Kim came on in. Good to see you, my dear. I believe I see Lucky came on in. Good to see you, my dear. Yes. Lucky said, Happy Day of the Sun. Yes, the SUN. Oh, you shining lights. You know, Michaelmas, September 29th, is supposed to represent, as we get into the material, this whole process of inward development, shedding, dark night of the soul, learning, growing, defeating more of our animalistic behaviors. That's what this whole process, starting with Michaelmas, into Yule, the day that we celebrate the sun, the SUN, that is there to remind us that no matter how dark it gets, our inner light that we have now defeated, anything that blocks it, anything that might dim our light, it will be defeated in the darkness, right? It will be wiped clean by our own light, is represented at Yule. So Michaelmas actually is associated then with Yule, the celebration of the sun, the SUN, which is December. It turned into Christmas. So we'll be covering that as well. But because, like you said, happy sun, yay. Hence, now you guys also understand why I love this time period so much, is because all of the beautiful growth and development and healing and releasing that can be done within the human consciousness, subconscious development, spirituality is done at this time. And hallelujah for that, right? We are so happy about that. Oh, I love Kim just put in the comments, perfection in the imperfections. I love it. I love it. Yes, ma'am. So once again, I will not be reading complete word for word in this material because I do strongly focus on not plagiarizing anyone or um, I just don't plagiarize anyone in any way, shape, or form. But I always give credit where credit's due. So I'm going to read a few lines to just kick us off, and then we're going to get into it, folks. Nature consciousness must be transformed into self-awareness. I'm going to read something else about today. So like I just said, folks, this day kicks off that right there, as I'll read it again. Nature consciousness, which is in you, you're here, you're human, we're a bit animals, aren't we? Nature consciousness must be transformed into self-awareness. The festival of a consciousness which is self-aware, which brings us close to our true humanity, is present when the leaves are falling. We only need to become conscious of it. It is the festival of Michael, the festival of autumn's onset. The picture of Michael's triumph can live in us. In summer, we are embraced lovingly by nature. But if we are but if we are not to be deprived of our own center and balance, we must not lose ourselves entirely in her, but be able to rise up in autumn to strengthen the spiritual nature in our own being. So in last Friday's show, I talked about both of those things. And that is going to be the ongoing theme here in love and support of the process that we would automatically be going through, but maybe not be aware of it. When the whole point of autumn into winter is to gain self awareness. It's the whole point. So, as I was saying, of we to be centered and balanced is to not be attached to nature in the process of dying, but in the process of dying onto oneself to gain eternal life, as the end of St. Francis' prayer would say, that we watch how nature dies away. And in ourselves, we go, what inside of me needs to die away to inherit eternal life? And I don't know about y'all, but I've been paying attention this past week since the equinox. So last Sunday, people have been struggling. People have been struggling, and it's mostly internal, including myself. I'm a part of here with you as well. We struggle. We've been struggling very much more internally, which then manifests into our external lives. And a lot of it by reading everybody's posts and communicating with others, a lot of it has been a light shining on very much of our kind of animalistic, selfish thought patterns and behaviors. Very, even if it doesn't appear to be that, it very much so is. And the eclipse season will do that. The eclipse season is the cosmos helping us humans go, don't die away completely and submit to all this natural. Remember, you can triumph, but die unto oneself, as in release all of these patterns of the material world to inherit eternal life as the beautiful star that you are. It's already started, but most people don't know that that's what's happening. Don't know that the cosmos is trying to help us under, because this is the time of year that we fall into such things. And this is the time of year. Um, I love you all, beautiful, beautiful beings that you are. I love you, but I don't celebrate too many things during this time of the year. Most people here know that I am all about Yule. I love acknowledging that the sun, the light within is always present, no matter how dark it gets, probably because I come from extremely dark stuff. Um, I focus more on that, opposed to all of the fun things that we do in this season. I actually retreat back. And I also know other practitioners that understand this, who are very connected to nature, that they also retreat back because it's the eclipse season. We retreat back, we go internal, and we don't hang out as much because we know we are mentally, physically, emotionally, all of spiritually, we are going through a process. Rudolf Steiner actually has a name for it. We'll get there in just a moment. And I do believe, this is my thoughts, that things that are natural for us, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, collectively, things that are natural for us, do then kind of become infiltrated by other influences. So we aren't able to recognize our own process, right? The rat race of running, or what is presented that we should, pay attention to. Here's an example. A lot of people celebrate Halloween. I'm cool with it. I don't really celebrate Halloween. I know everybody went, what? I don't. I think over the years, it has become what I call boobtober. I really do. I call it boobtober, which I don't fault anybody for. Everybody loves boobs. There you go. I said it. Everybody does. But it is that day that represents more lust and chaotic fun than what it should represent, right? Which is fine. But then we go into another holiday that really became more gluttony than anything, and then into a holiday that should be all about the light within and sharing the light within with others and being that torch, that pillar, the light that shines throughout the world has turned into commercialism, greed. So when I say things get kind of infiltrated into our society, a natural process that would already be there, that we would already be looking at quote unquote kind of our own animalistic sinful natures, our lust, our gluttony, our greed. That process would already be in place for us to go internally into that shadow work, into, man, I really do make it all about me, don't I? How do I overcome that? And instead of allowing the humans to be fully present in that transformation, the outside influences, as there's tons of different influences, expose it in our favor of glorifying it. So it's a little bit for me, uh I I just don't partake in a lot of things. Um because I the influences that are present. Now, everybody, you can have fun, do what you want because fun is good. We all need to have fun. We all need to enjoy. I'm just saying that what is a natural, normal process? It could be anything from our weather to conscious awareness, collective awareness of things to shifts in all sorts of stuff that would be natural tend to become then infiltrated with an influence that is in their highest good opposed to ours. So I'm just putting it out there that at this time, there's a whole lot more going on at play that we've forgotten about for quite a long time, like Michaelmas. So let us think about that for just a moment. In all that the earth reveals, sorry, in all that the earth reveals, in stone and plant, in all creatures, spiritual beings live, not merely a general vague spirituality, but separate spirit beings, nature spirits. These nature spirits enclose themselves during the winter in the bowels of the earth. They are breathed in, as it were, by the earth and dwell there. When spring comes, the earth breathes out, as it were. Her spirituality and then her spirituality, and then these nature spirits strive upwards. They aspire upwards with the force of springing, sprouting life. They are active in the life which is felt in the radiant light and sun warmed air, streaming upwards within it. So these nature spirits, as we talked last time, our spirit, our being, is attached to all things. It's attached to the cosmos, to the earth, to beyond. It's attached to all things. So that's a part of us as well. So going back to the last episode, in the summer, in the spring, After we've gone through this process, this dark night of the soul, we then spring up with them to create, to live again, to feel how ultimate we are. I'm going to go into, oh, well, this is going to tell you exactly what I just said. This counterforce is visible to those remarkable phenomena which fall to the earth from time to time as products of the cosmos. The contained meteor iron. If you examine a piece of meteor iron, you have before you a remarkable testimony to the iron dispersed throughout the cosmos. The shooting stars, which come so frequently in August, reveal this counterforce of nature opposing the desire element present there in the heights at the time. This cosmic iron, condensed into a meteoric stone, is, you can say, the arrows which the cosmos shoots into the animal desire element manifested here. So he goes into, in the spring, we are represented along with those nature spirits as very alive. We're sprouting. By midsummer, which is St. John's Day too, and into August when we have all those meteor showers are supposed to remind us that we are part of the cosmos as well before the autumn hits and we breathe back into ourselves, into the earth-based being. That we are just as big as the cosmos. The aspect of Michaelmas is the whole story of Michael defeating the dragon and how just the iron in our blood is represented like those shooting stars above, those meteors, that they're of the same. Symbolically, even a little bit of compounds the same, right? As we've learned in science. As above, so below, as below, so above. We forget that we are made of the same, right? We do. We tend to forget that. And I see Max has come in. Good to see you, sir. We know, of course, that human beings need this animal desire precisely because they can only develop the forces that make them fully human by first overcoming it. Now, the human being in this true microcosm, really a little cosmos. Everything that manifests in the great world outside in the gigantic and majestic phenomena, such as meteors, also manifest within us. Hmm. In the inward nature of what we are ourselves as physical beings. We must say that this, oh my goodness, he has his own word, Rudolf Steiner, and I practice saying it. Sufferus, sufferus, I believe is how he say it. That is his process of this time. Sufferus. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. Sulphurous. Um, that is his word for the autumn process that we go through, defeating all of those innate animalistic desires that present themselves in such interesting ways during this season so we can go, no, no, I am the light. We must say that this sufferus storms through the human orgasm, stirring up our desires and emotions. We feel it within us. We behold it at the high summer outside us, in the cosmic mist of desire above our heads. But we also behold how into this overarching cosmic mist, shooting the iron arrows of shooting stars, of metric phenomena, cleansing and clarifying it, acting as an opposite pole to animal desires. For through this shooting of metric iron arrows from the cosmos, the mist above, the animal desire of high summer is purified. Thus, we are inwardly a reflection of the cosmos. We must learn to explore this metric shooting of the blood iron into the blood cipher as freedom, or intuitively as the strength of our will. Otherwise, it remains at best an animal or vegetation process in us. We become fully human in soul and spirit when we consciously grasp the process at work in us, such as this iron suffers process. Send the soul and spirit into them as an impulse. It is similar to making a tool or instrument and knowing how to handle it properly. Then we can use it. In the same way, when we know how to handle it, we can make use through our will of this iron sulfur process that works and lives in us. Whoo! So, in the summertime, beautiful stars, you are reminded, even though we get tired because that sun is there and we're working, we are reminded that we do have strength. Then that meteor showers are coming in to say, hey, it's not about just this earthly plane, this density. It's not about that. You are just as mighty as us. You beautiful stars start shining, right? Into autumn, that through that process, the dark night of the soul process that is supposed to happen naturally as we go breathe inward, as we allow ourselves to go inward and look at all these things that are so very animalistic about us that do not serve us and others. And the world operates in that way. And many already feel it. It's the eclipse season to then come back out in the spring knowing who we really are and what we can do. To then have another cycle of rebirth, power, magic, all of it. He is associating the iron within the meteors with the iron within us. So remember, Rudolf Steiner did mix like actual natural science, the human body form, things of natural science, in with spirituality. That is what Rudolf Steiner is very much known for, amongst some other stuff. He then goes into the story of Michael defeating the dragon, Archangel Michael, who for a very long time was like the head angel, right? We have so many stories of Michael defeating things on our behalf, on the heavenly behalf, doing his wonderful work. In the story, you have the dragon that represents, at least for Rudolf Steiner in this story, the dragon represents all of those animalistic desires that are within us that can start to take over. that can start to rule our life without us even knowing. The selfishness, the greed, the lust, the jealousy, the fears, the insecurities, all of it. This dragon is to represent the 3D density, very animal, lower consciousness, even though it is from a higher consciousness. Now that it is here, the dragon, that is what it symbolizes. All of these things that are very harmful to our beautiful light being self and achieving higher consciousness, self awareness, which is what this whole process is for. That's what the dragon represents. Michael represents like our higher consciousness, like our full self awareness, and his sword that is created, is formed before this fight begins of the iron of that sword, that iron that has melded together, created this beautiful weapon to defeat what is going on with all the animalistic behaviors and thought patterns, this big dragon that rules a whole lot of stuff, that the same iron of Michael's sword is the same of the meteors above and the same that runs through our blood. Now, if you put that into perspective, that means that we actually have everything in our human physical body to overcome anything that is mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual that is here to hold us back. But it takes that time, that sufferous time process to gain the self awareness as to what the sword should eliminate in the first place. So that is really what Michaelmas, the festival, as we're going to read it again. Let's read it again. Actually, I'll back up some. Just as we must experience living nature in our own life forces, so must we set against dying nature, against death, the human self. Nature consciousness must be transformed into self awareness. So many people just give into all of the 3D stuff, all of the 3D density. So many people just give into it and give their power over to it. When in reality, we need to go inside, starting today with this beautiful Michaelmas that reminds us that we have all the power of the beautiful iron of the cosmos within our own physical and spiritual makeup to defeat the dragon. It's a lovely, lovely concept. It really, truly is. And I wish more people would take it into consideration. That's all I would ask. Take it into consideration because it would be a natural process for us, anyways. That's why Michaelmas was actually celebrated for so long. Michaelmas was also, especially in Europe and any of the islands over there, especially in that region, it was also the day that, it was a quarter time for them. And they would elect like their government officials because they knew, okay, let's attach the power of Michael's wisdom and strength and fortitude to help us elect government officials who are going to then decide on our human animalistic behaviors as to how punishments should be doled out. It does relate. You should have the wisdom of Michael. You should have the strength of Michael. You should have the fortitude. You should have the understanding and compassion to know that most humans don't go beyond this. The figure of Michael is revealed in this fight with the dragon, with our animal nature, the sufferizing process. Michael himself appears as the outward expression of what is working out in the cosmos in the battle with animalized desires. He appears with a sword pointing towards man's higher nature. And we picture Michael rightly when we see his pointing sword as the cosmically smelt and forged iron. Out of spiritual cloud formations, you can say the figure of Michael appears to us with positive, searching and directing gaze, his eyes like a guiding sign, his gaze set outwards, never drawn back into himself. The arms of Michael appears to us in the midst of sparkling shower of meteor iron, as thought, as though this were molted in force of cosmic desire and fused together again to form Michael's flaming sword. So as Michael holds up that sword that is to represent the cosmos working in our favor, but we tend to take all of the planetary stuff during the eclipse seasons as, oh shit, opposed to, thank you for working in my favor. Thank you for shining light into all the darkness within so I can release myself from it. That sword piercing upward to represent our higher nature. He's doing it for us. We have all that within. All of it within. I see that Chloe came in. Good to see you, my dear. All of that within. This is such a positive, good story, as in humans humans are so much more than they think they are. And in my, like I had said before, I do think it's because, you know, I speak with a lot of humans, and a lot of humans think that they're still little worms, right? They're still little earthworms, which actually there's a whole section in this book about that train of thought with humans, about they're just little earthworms. I do suggest, I looked up how much this book is to order. It's only like $10. Um, it's a quick, good read. I suggest it. It's better to read it than to hear me speak about it. Take it into yourself. And there's a whole little section about that. Humans thinking they're worms. The reason why humans think this way: A, culture, religion, any dogmas, um, any of them, any form of judgment, any form of judgment will hold us into that concept of that we're merely just some kind of little earthworm compared to the almighty, compared to this, compared to that, all this comparison, which comparison is just Judgment, right? When we compare something to another, it's a form of judgment. It is. I think if people actually open their eyes to what judgment, how often judgment is happening and what judgment really is, it is everywhere. It is ingrained within 3D and it's still even in 5D. It's ingrained so much that we're not even aware of it. It is present tremendously, which that keeps us as these little worms. When the story of Michael against the dragon is supposed to represent then, hey, you are just as much as the cosmos as anything else. You are big and ultimate as well too. You can defeat a dragon, you little earthworm, because the battle is within. The battle is within. The picture of Michael's fight with the dragon expresses a strong awareness that we must direct and guide our inner life of soul in a way that nature cannot. Hmm. Nature knows nature. The laws of nature are wonderful. Like I said at the very beginning of this, it is wonderful to learn nature and learn what aspects about you are attached to the same kind of laws. Hence, like right now, it should be an inner breath inward to die unto oneself to inherit eternal life, as the prayer of St. Francis would say. Die away from the dragon that is within all, must use all that we have within, the power of the cosmos within us to defeat, right? The nature human beings receive into themselves lives in them as desire, as animal drives and lusts. And this made possible the fall of man. The time when autumn approaches must irrevocably recall this fight with the dragon. That picture and was deemed when nature and with her the dragon was more powerful. But with the oncoming frost, it appears again before the soul. And this picture is reality. This picture is reality. It is as if a certain enclosing the warmth of summer were drawn back, revealing the world of spirit. We partake in a life of we partake in the life of the year. We go with it into the course, but it enmeshes us in that kingdom where the I can't say it, adversary, geez, sets his invisible power within us as ugliness against nature's beauty. What I've been talking about, folks. It is the time of the year that 3D density 3D density is going to do everything in its power to distract you, to make things complicated for you, to usher in all of those beautiful animalistic traits within us that we just love to familiarize ourselves with even more so during this season. Jealousy, lust, greed, competition, fear, doubt, insecurities, all of it, lust, lots of lust will happen. It's fascinating. This is what it's all about. Oh, actually, maybe I'll read this first. The world we know originated in the world in which this event took place. like the fight between Michael and the dragon, the world that we know originated in the world in which this event took place. The kingdom into which the dragon was driven has become nature, has assumed material form and become visible to the senses. It is, as it were, a deposit of the earlier world, the realm in which Michael has preserved his spirit devoted will has remained above, purified like a liquid from which the substance once contained in solution has been deposited. It is a realm that which continue to remain invisible to the senses. Nature, however, considered part of the human being, is not adhered to the dragon. The power of the dragon was not strong enough to manifest visibly in nature, but remained in her as an invisible spirit. The dragon had to surrender his being from nature, which had become a mirror of the higher spirituality from which he had fallen. We have to conquer this dragon. And you know what's beautiful? Michaelmas is a gathering of all of us together, community. If you can't defeat your dragon, we'll do it together. That is the whole point of Michaelmas, is coming together and having these beautiful feasts and celebrations in the remembrance that we are better together, that we can defeat together. That so no matter what you're going through, if you are consumed with lust, greed, competition, hate, fear, jealousy, whatever it may be, together we can make it happen. We can come together and defeat the dragon. Independence of will was only possible to such beings in a denser matter than existed. If they persisted in opposition, they must irrevocably change and become different beings. This being found it impossible to continue to live in the same spirituality. His fellow beings found his existence in the realm disrupting, even destructive. Michael felt it so. Michael had remained in the will of the higher spiritual beings. He undertook to compel the opposing being to assume the only form possible for an independent will at that stage of the world's evolution, to assume animal form, that of the dragon or serpent. Higher animal forms had not yet made their appearance. This dragon was not, of course, materially visible, but supernatural. Such was the sole picture a person of earlier times had of the fight of Michael with the dragon. For him, it was a fact that had taken place before there was natural visible to human eyes, before him being even exited in his present form. Nature, however, considered part of the human being, has not subscribed to the dragon. The power of the dragon was not strong enough to manifest visibly in nature, but remained in her as an invisible spirit. The dragon had to sunder his being from nature. The nature human beings receive into themselves lives in them as desire, as animal drives and lust. The adversity has found his abode in the human being, Michael has remained true to his own being. If we turn to Michael with that part of our life which originates from higher spirituality, then the inward fight of Michael and the dragon arises in the soul. The time the time when autumn approaches must inevitably recall this fight with the dragon. Hmm. That picture that deemed when nature and with her, the dragon was more powerful. But with the oncoming frost, as I have read this, it appears again before the soul. And this picture is reality. It is it is as if a certain enclosing the warmth of the summer were drawn back, revealing the world of spirit. Beautiful people. I will read one more little thing. But think of this. We have things ahead of us. We do have things ahead of us, especially if you are here in the United States, right? There are plans to be made, events to go to, fun things to do, which is always very cool. But there's also a lot of other things happening, right? But yet, within many of us, many, we are not looking at how to defeat our own inner battle. We continuously now are being presented with quote unquote the reality around us. Well, that's just the dragon. That's just the dragon that's manifesting outside of us because no one's battling it internally and doing their part to release and free themselves from the density, right? No one seems to be doing that. My goodness. So why don't we focus on that this beautiful Michael Mass Day? That we have that we have the power. We have the opportunity to cleanse and clarify all that our higher self, our self-awareness is. We have such ability to use this time of the year to know who we are and what we really can achieve when especially when we come together. Especially when we come together. I'm going to have us pick a card real quick of our sacred geometry. Together we pick this card. Let's see, folks. Oh, okay. Number 2, the sacral chakra. The frequency of the sacral chakra, the orange flower of life, supports our ability to flow with our desires and stimulates the creative power to manifest success and abundance in our lives. I will tell you, folks, I get why this card came out. To flow with our desires. I tend to not use the word desire because if you look at the levels of consciousness chart, desire is actually right next to anger. It's a very low vibration. It's a very low frequency. Desire. The reason I don't is because exactly what we're talking about right now. If we have a clear, beautiful second chakra, and the other chakras are working in accordance with each other, and we have purified ourselves, as remember, the meteor shower reminds us that we can do so. Wishing on a shooting star gives us all the power in the world to make it happen within ourselves. Wishing is enough. Um, oh, ye of little faith, right? Um, but I know that the majority are not cleansed and purified. So when they read desire, it's that dragon. It's that dragon. It's very much selfish. It's all about me, 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 me. This card is to represent when you are working with self awareness and higher consciousness. Your desire is not about you. Your desire is in that co creation that we use here, that coming together on a Michaelmas, knowing that we are all the cosmos within us, that we can inherit full self awareness, independence of will was only possible to such beings in a denser matter than than existed. So before the world that we know now was created out of this sense of story, and then a much denser matter, density of 3D, was brought into existence. Independence of will was only possible to such beings in denser matter. I speak constantly of how amazing the human free will is. And I will always attach the word human to that free will because that free will is attached to our 3D density. It was created when 3D density was created. It is ours to use to relieve ourselves from the density. Independence of free will, or sorry, independence of will, meaning your independent self, your individual free will. Oh my goodness, how glorious! How glorious. Your free will. I get so excited when I understand that people can take that in. It makes me so happy. The festival of a consciousness, which is self awareness. Michaelmas, the festival of consciousness, which is self awareness, which brings us closer to our true humanity, is present when the leaves are falling. We only need to become conscious of it. Know that it's happening regardless. It is the festival of Michael, the festival of autumn's onset. The picture of Michael triumphant can live in us. In summer, we are embraced lovingly by nature, but if we are not to be deprived of our own centered, selfish nature, we must not lose ourselves entirely in her, but be able to rise up in autumn to strengthen the spiritual nature of our own being. The only way we can do that is A, awareness that it's going to be happening now, anyways. So we might as well take advantage of the energies available, the natural energies available at this time, right? And we do that because now we're aware. Now we are full on aware, right? And the whole goal is this: nature consciousness must be transformed, transformed, forge that iron within you for a beautiful sword, transmute, transform, forge. Nature consciousness must be transformed into self awareness. The festival of consciousness that is self awareness. Oh my goodness, how exciting! I'm so excited. What a beautiful day. What a beautiful day it is to know that all of it lies within. Would you like your reality to change as now it is being presented? Even more so than when the light is shining so brightly, we might be blinded in the summer. Now we see it in its entirety. Would we like it all to change? Well, then we must defeat the dragon of density with our own human free will, firing, forging the flame within towards all that we become aware of in self awareness of the autumn. To die unto oneself, to inherit eternal life, is to die away from all those animalistic, have them die away. Get rid of it. All of the selfishness, greed, all of it. Just die away from it. See your reality as a reflection of within, because the dragon is still within you. So therefore is still running amok around. It is wonderful day for all of us to come together and remember this. And if you can't do it by yourself, that's the point. We do it together. It is a community-based festival. Community, reminding that when we bring our human free wills, our individual human free will together to defeat a dragon internally and externally for the highest good of self-awareness and higher consciousness. Oh my God. Y'all know my flame is getting real hot right now. Oh my goodness. I get too excited. We can do it together. We can do it together. Together we are better. Together we are ultimate. We do not see ourselves as worms. We are wonderful. And I see Chris came in. Good to see you. Oh, beloveds, we are actually going to be in this book a little bit longer. Not just for today, but we might carry on into the autumn, because I'm going to possibly touch more on the shadow work material as to we have this, we can do it. We don't have to be a part of the mirage that is the density, that is the dragon of today. We can breathe inward and know that our light, that even though the world thinks that it's going to dim, we go into that little light and go, wow, you are so much bigger. Let's grow, 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 and forge. Forge within my free will, right? I'm so happy. I'm so happy that everybody was able to come and hear. I do have the collective Akashic reading for October 2024. That will be released to the patrons of Stars of the Morning Light first, and then out to everyone else in the next few days. Stick with us. The next message most likely will not be on Sunday. It will most likely be on Friday, live at 11 a.m. This got turned around because of the storms in the southern part of the United States where I live this past Friday. If you can't join us live on Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, catch us when you can. Give that thumbs up, please. Share it out. Share telling people that they are wonderful, that they have the ability all within their blood, their system, their cosmic knowing self, that they can overcome any form of the 3D dragon that we live in. Even if you don't share this video, I suggest that you do. Please share it with them. Even if you don't, share that with them. Share to others that they are not worms. Please. That's the... Please do so. All right. Love you guys all. I'll see you later. Bye.